Mario Kart is one of Nintendo's biggest series and arguably one of the biggest names in all of gaming, as everyone, gamer or not, knows about the Red Clumber's racing endeavors. We've gotten 8 mainline games, a few arcade games, and a mobile game. Although it has been over a decade since the last mainline game, as the Switch received a port of the Wii U's Mario Kart 8 instead of a new entry, we know that the next Mario Kart is on the way as shown in the Nintendo Switch 2 trailer. So while we're excitingly awaiting new information about the game, what better time to talk about the best track from every mainline game? And to spice things up, let's also talk about the worst tracks as well. So with that being said, yo guys, Crazytendo here, and if you guys end up enjoying the video, don't forget to like and subscribe. It would greatly help out the channel, and we are so close to 500 subs, so let's see how fast we get there. And ultimately, my goal is to get 1k subscribers this year, and you guys could definitely help me out there. Before we begin, I want to set some quick guidelines here. I will only be talking about the nitro tracks of each game and not the retro tracks, as I don't think it would be quite fair to have a track from an older game count as the newer game's best or worst track. Secondly, I will not count Mario Kart 8 Deluxe as a solo entry, as there's only a few new tracks in 8 Deluxe that were part of the Booster Course Pass, and those tracks also simultaneously released on Mario Kart Tour, so it wouldn't be fair to nominate them for the best or worst track in Mario Kart 8, so we'll just be covering Mario Kart 8 and not Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Third, I won't be counting tracks that are homages to other franchises. That means no DK, Yoshi, F-Zero tracks, and so on and so on. You get the idea. Last but not least, I don't want to count any Rainbow Road tracks, as these tracks are meant to be the best of the best, and for quite a few games the Rainbow Road would be the best track, which isn't really fair. Alright, now with that out of the way, let's jump into the first game, which is Super Mario Kart. The SNES Entry is what kickstarted the whole franchise, and while it is historically speaking a very important game, it has definitely aged. There are only a few course themes and multiple tracks in each of those themes, so honestly it isn't as replayable today. But starting off with the worst, I believe that Super Mario Kart's weakest track is Vanilla Lake 2. This track just sucks and is almost the exact same as Vanilla Lake 1, but just with cracked ice in the middle. There's a reason this is the only track from this game to not return as a retro track in future entries, and with this track being completely basic and bland, it's definitely this game's worst track. But moving on to this game's best track is Mario Circuit 2. A lot of the tracks in this game just feel flat and boring, but out of all of them, Mario Circuit 2 stands out by having this big jump. Yeah, it's sad how bad the tracks in this game are when the fact that a big jump makes this my favorite track in the game. Despite having mediocre tracks in general, this game was the start of one of gaming's best series, so I gotta give it credit there. Now while Super Mario Kart's tracks were mediocre in general, Mario Kart 64 had a massive increase in quality due to the game being 3D instead of 2D. This game features some great tracks and some not so great ones, so starting off with this game's worst track, it has got to be Wario Stadium. This track is just visually not appealing, and while a lot of the N64 tracks did feel a bit janky at times, you could definitely feel that a lot more in this track. This is also the only N64 track to not return as a retro track in future entries. Instead, Nintendo just made a new track entirely for Mario Kart DS with the same name and overall theming, but miles better. But now moving on to this game's best track, I'm gonna go ahead and give that title to Bowser's Castle. You can drive on the outside of the castle and on the rooftops, so this isn't just set entirely within the castle. And while you're inside the castle, there are these thwomps that are moving everywhere that try to spin you out, so it's always fun to try and dodge them. This track may not be as crazy as future Bowser Castle tracks, but it can still lead to some fun races with that extra bit of creativity in this track with the outdoor racing and the thwomps. This track is definitely the best in Mario Kart 64. The next Mario Kart game, Mario Kart Super Circuit, was more similar to Super Mario Kart because of the fact that it was released on the GBA. And while the tracks are also pretty flat like Super's, some of them do feature more creativity. But amongst these tracks, unfortunately, not all of them are that good. For example, Snowland. This track is just as boring as its name. There's almost nothing here, and it's pretty much a barren, flat, snowy landscape. Furthermore, the track design has no creativity besides some snowmen or penguins here and there. Even with a boring track like this, Mario Kart Super Circuit still has some more creative tracks, and for me the best track in this game is Sunset Wilds. The most unique part of this track is that after every lap the sun sets even lower until the final lap where it's completely set and the track then takes place at night. There are also these shy guys that can attach onto your car and slow you down a bit, but they aren't that difficult to get rid of. And yet another Mario Kart game with flat tracks, it's the finer details like this that help separate the good tracks from the bad. Moving on to Mario Kart Double Dash. This was the GameCube's Mario Kart title, and this game is truly where we stopped getting such lame and basic tracks. Never mind, we got Baby Park. This track sucks. It's a little oval with 7 laps instead of 3. Now some people like this track because it leads to more chaos, but respectfully, that's just stupid. This isn't even that skill based. It's literally luck and chaos, not at all helped by the item box frequency. There is literally nothing going on in this track. I don't even know what else to say. Baby Park may suck, but Double Dash still has some great tracks, with my personal favorite being Dino Dino Jungle. I really like this track's theming and creativity, which features this massive blue dinosaur that can stomp racers. The prehistoric jungle theme is visually appealing, and it's filled with dinosaurs and foliage, but the track itself is pretty fun too, with these narrow bridges you need to drive across that don't have any guardrails. There are also these geysers which can launch carts into the air, which adds some more challenge to the gameplay. Dino Dino Jungle is one of the most interesting tracks, not only in this game, but Mario Kart as a whole, because of this dinosaur. What, are you gonna make fun of me for wanting to get stepped on by a dinosaur? The next handheld Mario Kart game was a drastic improvement over the previous two handheld entries. Mario Kart DS finally introduced us to a handheld Mario Kart game without flat and basic tracks. That said, while the tracks in this game are some of the series' most beloved, Mario Kart DS does have some not so great tracks, and the worst track in this game has to be Figure 8 Circuit. This track is literally what the name says, it's a simple, basic Figure 8 circuit. There's basically no Mario theming in this track, and it just feels like a dumbed down version of a real life race course. This track is just lame. Now jumping into this game's best track, it's one of Mario Kart's most iconic tracks. Come on, we all know what it is, Waluigi Pinball. This track is awesome. It really feels like you are the ball in a pinball machine, and there are even other balls moving around that you try to dodge. Waluigi Pinball is such a unique track, but it's not just the design that's good. The layout is also really fun, and man, how can I talk about this track without mentioning the music? This upbeat and arcadey sounding music that plays in this track is one of the most recognizable pieces of Mario Kart music. Waluigi Pinball just rocks. The pinball machine aesthetic with all the neon lights setting the vibe, the fun layout, this truly is one of the best tracks in all of Mario Kart history. Mario Kart Wii is one of the most iconic and memorable Mario Kart games ever, and it isn't difficult to see why. This game probably has some of the best nitro tracks out of any of the games, with tons of iconic tracks fans love to this day. But not everything is perfect, and so I think the worst track in Mario Kart Wii is Luigi's Circuit. It isn't even that bad, it's just less creative and fun than Mario Kart Wii's other tracks. It's a much more simple introductory track, which might be to ease in new players with the new motion controls, but still, this game has better to offer. Like I mentioned, this game has some of the most iconic nitro tracks like Maple Tree Way and Koopa Cape. But come on, we all know which one truly takes the crown. That's right, Mario Kart Wii's best track is Coconut Mall. This track is just incredible and is one of, if not the most iconic Mario Kart track in the whole series. The whole idea of this track is just so unique. You drive through a shopping mall while riding escalators, taking sharp turns, and then navigating through Miis that try to run you down. This track layout is fun with lots of turns, and then some open spaces that allow for chaotic item use and overtaking. It's not difficult to see how this is the most iconic Mario Kart track. And just like Waluigi Pinball, I gotta talk about the music. Everybody knows the Coconut Mall theme. We've all seen the "you just got coconut mauled" meme. I don't think I need to justify this game's title of the best Mario Kart Wii track, because come on, what other track is as iconic as this? Moving on to Mario Kart 7 for the 3DS, and the best thing about this game was that it didn't feel like a handheld Mario Kart like with the previous 3 handheld entries, and it really felt like a home console game that you could take on the go. And then we even got some banger tracks in this game, and also Toad Circuit. This track is so basic and simple in a way that just makes it boring to play on. The only memorable part of this track is the giant toad balloon towards the end, and that's saying something. But moving on to this game's best track, I'd say is a music part. The instrument theming is super cool and creative, and you can drive over pianos and xylophones, which also play sounds while you drive over them. There are also these bouncing music notes that try to flatten you, so you need to try and avoid them. While Music Park isn't a challenging track, there are enough fun twists and creative elements to warrant it the best track in Mario Kart 7. Mario Kart 8 is the latest mainline console entry in the series, releasing on the Wii U in 2014 and the Switch in 2017. And the Switch release is the definitive way to play Mario Kart, with 48 tracks right out of the box, and that number getting doubled to 96 by purchasing the Booster Course Pass. But we're looking at the main tracks that are available in the regular old Mario Kart 8, and the weakest one here is definitely Water Park. This track could have been so much more interesting. When you hear the term water park, you'd expect big slides or other creative elements, but unfortunately the track just has an anti-grav section, and that's basically it. The layout is also really basic, and doesn't really have any fun twists or cool features. This track isn't super bad, but it's definitely a big disappointment. But this track doesn't define Mario Kart 8, as almost every other course has tons of creativity and fun to be had. And I gotta say, Mount Wario is my favorite track in this game. This is one of the few tracks in the series where there aren't traditional laps, instead offering a continuous race, going all the way from the top of the mountain to the very bottom. While I normally find ice theming in video games kinda bland, Mount Wario offers diversity and features snowy slopes, ice caves, small forests, and a ski resort finale. This track isn't super difficult, but it's still a blast to play through, and the uniqueness and creativity make this my favorite track in Mario Kart 8. Now, Mario Kart Tour is not a mainline Mario Kart game. Yeah, you heard me right, but I'm including it in this video so that all 5 of you Mario Kart Tour enthusiasts won't hate on me. Mario Kart Tour has plenty of original tracks, most of which are based on real-life cities. These city tracks aren't really bad, but they aren't all great either. But Sky High Sundae really takes the cake for the worst track in Mario Kart Tour. This track just feels weird. It's super floaty, and sometimes you get boosts from things that don't feel like they should give you boosts, like this railing in the middle of the track. Also, this layout is just an oval, meaning it's basically a slightly better baby park. But Mario Kart Tour has a course with an equally bizarre theme, but yet the track is still awesome. Yep, I'm talking about Squeaky Clean Sprint. This track is so freaking cool. You basically are driving and navigating through a massive bathroom that features a toilet, a sink, and you even get flushed down a bathtub drain. The track layout is also really fun. It isn't super complicated, but it's still super enjoyable, and there's tons of fun to be had in this track. Mario Kart needs more unique and quirky tracks like this because I mean, this track is awesome. I hope this is a retro track in Mario Kart 9 because with 24 racers, this would be even more fun. So if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to stay updated on any future Mario Kart videos I make and to help me reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers by the end of this year. And also check out this video on screen where I talk about how Nintendo can fix the Mario Sports series. But with that being said, yo guys, Crazytendo here, and thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.